29 July 2023, we will have a conversation quite simple, quite clear. Kind of the risk report July is closed, and we will have our issues. Considering the diary we have, it's all there. We are supposed to have the as main goal this month, kind of set the anti-mafia procedure, because we have the mafia as our organization, and was confirmed by the Association of States and Institutions. In general, the states go by treasonal acts, the institution by conflict of interest, even inside the criminal organizations that already exist. We did the drill down from institutional crime, considering state crime, unveiling the architecture as pandemic mobilization of crime, local crime, by, in general, the public corruption. We have the array of pandemic crime. We observe that you don't have a constitution in all countries, but you have a public budget in all countries, and also the public corruption in all countries. G20 violating my basic rights and guarantees as stoned basic rights and guarantees in Brazil, affecting interests in a space that has no excuse to be hurted or violated, allowing us to charge and request the compensation, everything we did. We will read the July 27 self-defense, independent effort, very according with the law, constitution, and regulatory premises, observed all interests and standard patterns for safety and security at financial operation and or economic transactions, offered yet as self-defense the credit protection. You default all things and made all mistakes systematically proved to do not suffer consequence. Set the hoax against we all, or keep the mistakes about the facts and circumstances, in general by fake record. It's the idea as deep web scam that allow you to scapegoat anyone and blame anything. If you do this against a citizen, and in a condition as, for instance, foreigner as Portuguese and with the American status, you can do this against the United States, the Europe, the American business, or the activity as corporate in bank system, for instance, on Europe, including the sports entities, like FIFA was observed like this, 2014 Olympics 16. COVID-19 20. And we have the research after God treatment, the paradigm as workflow, notice as threat. It's the idea as walking through, you hurt, I receive, the attack, and complain to you suffer the strike back. Variance reported by variety of risk. It is an euphemism for crime, institutional and state crimes. And frequency scale. We have the clusterization and hierarchical distribution of power by the frequency with a scale. It's organized crime. In Brazil, it's on lot of 1,850, which allows the international activity in Brazil, including the jurisdiction as international jurisdiction in Brazil, saying the Brazilian law, if the Brazilian judicial power is part or represent the organized crime as we proved, and also the state, the defense, all integrated on budget by silence 74 of the Brazilian Constitution, Distribution of power as hierarchical distribution of criminal empowerment 23 item 1, disrespecting the premises of the Constitution, having conflict of interest in corporative areas, and also Treasonous Act on public area and departments. We did a follow-up, 48 hours, nothing new, it's a criminal system, and we're reporting patterns and risk behavior based on misuse of state and institutional power, doing abusive procedure and a lot of things to collect not authorized information or resource or whatever, and doing stochastic process of many inputs, even drugs and other things, generally based on criminal hierarchy of power, as we proved, and abuses kept by blind eye, intimidation, institutional violence covered by fake records. The patterns we have we did this before, and we are not gonna make this one more time. We will observe that we will have the idea as, a storage of something with transference and distribution. It's the idea of pool, and then you will have the pulverized items here as an advantage, which is an invitation for new entry at the scams that you will be kind of having this on and on and on. Was observed on Africa, was kicked as Project Enact, the Interpol. We have a lot of religious temples on it, commerce, frauds, the activities counterfeit, and the false records of operations and transactions, and many other things. We will check that the pattern, the distribution of matrix, the failure, the integration gives me the total design of fail. We will observe that we have this situation here. We had before the distribution of Brazil, which was one federative unit, 0 up to 25, one federation, 0 up to 27 federative unit, 500 counties. We observe that they do operation. We have the public account, and we have in general the transference of money and digital payments, debit and credit, but we will have this kind of a bit more clear. And it's like this. It's quite simple to get, nothing new, it's the same thing we did all the time. The international police complained strong corporations on network. You could understand this, walking through and have clear that the distribution of criminal activity passing through the regular area will allow to get this kind of activity in the deeper level as criminal activity based on the corruption as gateway that goes inside the regular area and chasing, harassing, doing a lot of things. The pattern number 3 gives this idea as corrupted, as free zone, with different areas indeed clustered as something new. And going global scale, I only have to track on this one quadrant of the thing, observe the pattern as fractal and many other things. The thing here will be in the same way as interval notation, A, B with integrity. I lost the integrity on A, on B. Set the interval C, which is equal A and B, or the failure as itself representing the thing, because lost the integrity. It's the same thing all around, which was the other pattern we have, just to be according with the diary. It's like we observe that this kind of thing will target, according with the international police, the OECD, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, in general, the game. But it's not kind of a pure game. We'll go inside your investment liquidity money curve, your investment saving curve, liquidity money curve, very near at the center of economic interest on current time on Asia is the infrastructure. And we will check that this segmentation here will be presented as the parallel activity as criminal economic result in global scale will be around kind of which it will be looked as a randomized thing with a randomic behavior and movement, but it's not. It's a sequence. You have scheduled events and discrete distribution of events linked or associated with. And we suggested to seja the illicit items and services considering the e-commerce and the money on bank. And we will check that the follow-up on present time. This kind of thing will be observed because indeed I had the function and the variable as departmental thing I do with estimative as operation or something like this, and indeed switched the value, by the color, considering the trend I observe, and on time by silence. The distortion here as parallel function, considering the corruption on department and the arguments that are against the law, such in the conflict of interest or the treasonous act, will be justified by, for instance, a new constitution or a new company with a criminal function based on criminal activity on departments and offices, and criminal arguments, which is the creation, for instance, of a new law to justify the crimes you perpetrated. It's not going to affect this credit, this paycheck. It's on 38 trillion, you will pay everything. And it's not charged in Brazil because Brazil is not reliable in simple things. The main situation here is I observe that all this will be a simple workflow, which is in general my budget that can be public, that can be corporate considering the saving account. I will have inside the division as debit and credit, as public debit and public credit, or private debit and private credit. Some billionaires had been told that the private act is a perfect fraud, but only will be a perfect fraud if you have no difference between the debit and the credit corrupted on record as public information. Same thing in your corporative area, put them as macro economical information or macro financial information about transaction in global scale corrupted by record made as specific hands, with the clusterization observed by the frequency of operations made, and with the regression until the chairs, the location having the operations, and players involved as economic individuals and micro objects like companies or the entire conjunture. The most relevant thing here is that this kind of thing will be quite simple to be made as follow-up, because you don't have to trend or trace the entire operations made. You only have to get the notion as debit and credit and the quality of the records made. And if it's corrupted, the entire thing is corrupted because this is the final result, and all things on present time has a big risk as the stochastic process of illicit things based on illicit procedure to do the stochastic activity, including your personal IDs and a lot of things, sometimes with situation that you have no choice and you must authorize the government to use your data or access your things or something like this, kind of absurd things. And if the quality of government is switched by criminal purpose as orientation, of course that unfortunately you are engulfed by a criminal activity. MOUTINHO, and this is one more time the idea as trust scam. Simple to get, right? We will finish here and try to have our delightful period at the beach house with rain, with no interruption. Have a great weekend and Saturday.